What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Ride Warrior Wrestling. I'm, of course, the face that runs the place, Andy Rabarchak, joined once again by my very good friend, the Maverick, Rob Dole. Maverick, it's been a while. Where you been?
What's up, man? How you doing? How's everybody doing tonight?
Oh, man. So tonight, I think, we're going to talk a little bit about one of my favorite events during the entire year, and that is the Royal Rumble. The Rumble, I think it's everyone's. Ever since I was a kid, the Rumble has always been the pay-per-view to watch. Like, there's WrestleMania. WrestleMania is always fun to watch, but the Rumble always has that intrigue because the cool thing about the Rumble is even though it rarely happens, even though it normally doesn't happen, it's really the one night of the year where WWE can hit the reset button and do whatever they want. Because the winner of the Rumble goes right to WrestleMania to fight the champion. So if they want to push someone new, they can. If they, I go back to 1992 and Ric Flair winning the title. And it's before the internet, before all that stuff. I was still a kid, and it's hard to even think about that Ric Flair coming into the company, having a big angle with Hulk Hogan, but basically coming into the company and then winning the title in the Royal Rumble. Like, unprecedented craziness. And yes, we've had our big winners of Stone Cold and Rock, but really it's that one match where if WWE wants to do whatever they want, they really can, right?
That's my favorite gimmick match. I mean, that's what it is. It's a gimmick match, right?
It's the best gimmick match. It's the greatest of the gimmick matches. So tonight we're going to look a little bit at what we think might happen in this year's Rumble, because this year's Rumble, I think moving into it, we there's a lot of good storylines moving in, and the first and foremost one, it seems that like WWE has taken a lot of heat over the last few months about, not being entertaining, that they're trying to hit the reset button, like I said before, with the formation of AEW. Everyone's like talking like, oh no, WWE's on their heels. They got to do something. So I feel like this might be the Rumble where we see a shocker. So, like, Rob, like, what are some of your thoughts on maybe, I think the biggest thing to talk about is maybe some surprise entrance for this. And, here we go. Let's just start right off the bat, right? Right off the bat.
Let's go right up to the main one. Everybody and their mom is just like, is Kenny Omega going to show up to the Royal Rumble? Is he going to be the surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble? And you could give your thoughts first, because I have my thoughts and I know you have yours. You're the most strong thought person about the indie wrestling scene. I mean, obviously I have a shirt, so I mean I'm full of I'm okay with that stuff. But you very strong opinionated about it. You have very strong opinions about that. So.
Well, and I think it comes down to this. I think with a guy like Kenny Omega, that this is the talk of the town, that everyone's saying, is Kenny Omega coming? And like I was saying to you before we started the show, I said, this is the time of year that I think we get the most crap news out of the dirt sheets, that everyone's feeding dirt sheets, false information at this time. We see a lot of storylines going on where it's hard to decipher what's going on. Every year at this time of year, right before the Rumble, December into the Rumble, we get a lot of horse shit. And everyone's like, oh, well, Omega's contract isn't even up yet. How do we know when Omega's contract is up?
No, it isn't up. But what makes you think WWE can't buy out a contract?
And I want to see definitive proof. Do people have copies of Omega's contract in their hand that they know when it's up? Is Meltzer going out there saying, oh, Omega told me personally? Who's to say Omega's not working the crowd too?
And he doesn't really have any matches set up.
Like, no, he's free and clear right.
Yeah, it would be one thing.
Clear with working and stuff right now. It's just, is there a contract? So I go back to the idea of, I'm saying Omega's on the table, and let's start there. And that I'm not a huge New Japan mark. I watch a few indies here and there. I've watched Lucha Underground since its beginning. I've recently gotten into Impact because it's a lot of the Lucha guys. so it's not like I'm against indie wrestling, but I'm from the school that if you want to be anything in this world, if you want to be something in the wrestling world, you have to be in the WWE at some point. I'm not saying you have to spend 50 years there. I'm not saying you have to be like The Undertaker or Shawn Michaels, but I'm saying like, a guy like AJ Styles, he had to come to the WWE to solidify his legacy, to solidify, who he is.
His greatness.
You have an opinion that AJ Styles is the greatest of all time. I'm a little bit different on that. I think that's a separate show to be.
Yeah, that's another show. Yeah,
we'll hash that argument out elsewhere. But a guy like Omega, I think he needs the WWE. I think this, especially at this time in his career, and I guess it all depends on how much he cares about his legacy at the end of the day. That does he care about performing at the biggest stage? Because I'm sorry, if you don't perform at the biggest stage, if you don't have that WrestleMania match and that run, to show that you're at the top of the game, I don't think there's an argument to be made. It'd be like saying, we're going to put someone in the NFL Hall of Fame or in the Football Hall of Fame because of what they did in the XFL. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Like, so I think Kenny Omega, if he entered this Rumble, he's going to blow the place off he's going to blow the roof off the stadium. Like, that's no question, right?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, it's gonna be insane. Like that pop. Just, I mean, you thought the AJ Styles. I mean, AJ Styles might actually be the biggest pop, because of AJ Styles and his grandeur. I mean, everybody knew AJ Styles going in there. Kenny Omega's a little different because Kenny Omega came from just New Japan, and that's another thing. I think you hit the nail on the head when you were talking about how to be somebody, you've got to go through WWE. I mean, nobody knows who Kenny Omega. Any like true WWE fan doesn't know who Kenny Omega is. Doesn't. Like those guys, those people that go, the people that pay to go see Raw, go see SmackDown, no idea who Kenny Omega is. No.
And I think there's also the possibility of, because the Royal Rumble is also one of those events where you get a lot of fans from a lot of different areas in the world that do know wrestling. And I think there might be a chance if Omega walks out that a "you sold out" chant starts up, because I think everyone's assuming he's going to AEW. A lot of people are banking on him going to AEW. And if he doesn't, I think there's going to be a little bit of a backlash there. I don't know how long that's going to last, but I think there will be an initial backlash at some point to him going. So, if he enters the Rumble, I think he has a good shot of winning it, right? Like that.
Yeah, he does. But you think he's going in the Rumble, right? So you're on the.
I think it's going to happen. I really think that Omega is going to enter the Rumble and be in there. The only thing that could be is because of the contract situation. Maybe he has to show up later on a Raw or something, and that would be less inspiring, because I think you really need this Rumble crowd to get him over initially.
If Omega comes in, WWE can buy that. It's 4 days.
I know, right?
4 days worth of contract.
Yeah,
is what we're talking about. So if WWE needed him to make another huge pop like AJ did, they will buy that out. Here's what I'm thinking though. He's already penned down that he's going to AEW. That's it. Already it's playing out like it usually does for Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega last year was giving all this hoopla about possibly joining the WWE. He was trolling everyone. He's doing that again because recently he told some Japan news sports news thing that he's going to be wrestling on an international stage. So the only honestly, what was AEW is not even there yet. So
AEW doesn't even have a show yet. So they don't have a stage, let alone an international stage.
So he's basically teasing a WWE,
he is.
He's going to show up at WWE, but a classic Kenny Omega, and know what the great part is the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes is also teasing this fact, because they're also saying we support Kenny and whatever he does. So everybody is teasing this whole thing this whole orchestrated thing, and all it's gonna do is it's their kind of joke, their inside joke to tease this whole he's going to WWE thing, because that is what they offered him is insane.
Well, and ultimately, like, I feel bad for Kenny because I think he's going to be the loser in that too. If he goes to AEW, I think he's going to stay, king of the small pond, and he's going to have that legacy attached to him. And I don't know if he deserves that legacy. I like I said, if you're not in the WWE and you don't perform at that level, I can't really. There's no argument for you being part, in the line of the greats. That you have to be the Jordans, the LeBrons, the Kobes. You play at the highest level. You play in the finals.
Brady.
Yeah, you're Tom Brady's, okay? That you have to be in that echelon, in the highest level of performance. And if you're wrestling at AEW, that's just not it for me. So I can't. Sure, you want to say that he's a great wrestler, that he's good on the, a good worker and everything. Great. I think at the end of the day, though, if you're not in the WWE, you're not going to be listed among the Shawn Michaels, the Undertakers, the Hulk Hogans, the Rocks, the Stone Colds, that type of person.
And one more point so we'll be done with the Kenny Omega thing after this. Let's move on after this. But one more point. So if Kenny Omega does not sign a contract with WWE, AEW, they're giving out contracts to Chris Jericho for 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the Bucks, because the Bucks and Cody are now doing this whole storyline that they're co-owners of this. So they're doing this whole thing on their being the Elite show on YouTube, which is a good show. So if you guys want to check that out, Being the Elite is actually really funny, and it's very entertaining, and that's how they're going to do all their storylines at AEW for right now.
Is it as good as like Total Bellas and Total Divas?
It's better.
Oh, that's hard to believe. So,
but if he doesn't sign, he's probably going to sign a max contract, not like Jericho, because Jericho wants to sign 3 years and go somewhere else or do something else. Because Jericho is, he's kind of loyal to WWE too.
Yeah.
So he'll go back to WWE and kind of help out in some form. So it'll be, if Kenny Omega does not sign a contract now, he could sign like 5-10 years with AEW and just be locked up. And you know what happens? He's nothing.
Yeah.
He's
like
done.
You said. He's at that point in his age. He signs anything more than a 3 to 4 year contract, and that's probably his last big contract. That you're not really performing at a high level after 40 or so. So let's like you said, let's move on and let's start with the Women's Rumble and just say, I don't want to spend too much topic on this, but let's look at the winners and maybe some of the people we'd like to see in the Rumble. I know as a surprise entrant, one of the people that I've been hoping to see come back for a while is actually Melina. That Melina was rumored to come back at Evolution and have some sort of tag match. She didn't come back for the Rumble last year. I'd love to see her come back, maybe see like a Stacy Keibler come back. I'm getting the sense that, we always see the tried and true, women coming back, like the Litas and the Molly Hollies and the Trish Stratuses. As much as I like Trish and stuff, like we've seen this at, the Rumble last year. We've seen this every time that, the women make another big leap. I think this is the time now for the women to step into the Rumble, bring up some NXT guys. I'd love to see like Toni Storm in there. She just won the UK women's title. I'd love to see Toni Storm get a spot in there. I'm assuming we're going to see Shayna Baszler get a spot in there too. That you would think Shayna Baszler has some sort of angle with maybe Ronda coming up. Hopefully either after WrestleMania or before WrestleMania, who knows? But I'd love to see any of those people enter themselves into the Rumble and kind of give it more of a modern feel. Like the surprise entrance for the men, it's only a handful, and it's fun. The women last year, I felt like half the Rumble was people coming back, and I'm like, this is kind of like...
It was chock full of just random old, female superstars.
And they could still wrestle and stuff for the most part, as best as anyone can, being in the Rumble for the first time. But it just felt like, okay, I want to focus on the current superstars and then have that handful of people and make it fresh and new. If you bring back the same people every year, it's not fresh, right?
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, like I think they got a lot of backlash from that last year. Having so many, past superstars in there. Why aren't you, giving that time to some of the NXT women that are
Yeah.
up and what about anybody else that are in the women's division now? I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I would really, really like to see, the Bellas come back.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
I would love to see that. I would love to see her come back because they can still wrestle.
and they're also talking about, like, you have these new tag team titles coming out. So, there's always discussion of, are the Bellas going to, contend for that? Eventually, who knows? People like Kairi Sane down in NXT has been down there forever. I could see her coming in.
Yeah, she could be a surprise entrant.
And she was in the Rumble last year too, wasn't she, Kairi Sane?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, like, there's a whole bunch of people, but with Alexa entering herself into the Rumble, like, she's got to be the odds-on favorite at this point, right?
I think I actually think she's the winner. I think she's the one to win it all. I mean, if we think, I mean, we can go over this, but we think that there's going to be some kind of women's main event at WrestleMania, because that's how WWE's trajectory with their women's revolution thing. You would think that maybe Alexa is going towards that because she has been the one to kind of carry.
Well, what's interesting about that, though, is I don't know if she factors into that main event, because I think that main event has Ronda Rousey in it. I think it has Becky Lynch in it, and I think it has Charlotte Flair in it. That those are your three. So you have to – I always say you have to work backwards from WrestleMania. So if you're going to assume that that's your WrestleMania, women's main event, then that means Ronda has to lose the belt, because Ronda would have to move over to the blue side at that point. So there's that transition. So is she going to drop the belt to Sasha at the Rumble? And with like probably interference from like Becky or somebody.
I think it'll probably be where Sasha does does get the belt, because right now she is having issues with WWE and she wants out.
Supposedly, that's another story I don't buy into either.
Supposedly, but I mean, it is supposedly, but you never know. I mean, WWE could see those too. I mean, social media is not just to us. I mean, they see that too, so they could be like, well, we got to give these people a push.
Well, and I think Alexa needs that WrestleMania match that she can match up with someone clearly. That her match with Nia last year was just terrible, because that's a tough, and they did as best as they could, being that one, Nia Jax is in the ring, and number two, that the size difference is so much there. There's only so many different spots you can come up with out of that, and I think Alexa needs that, technical match to put her on the map. And I'd love to see it be against somebody like, Sasha, but then you have the Sasha Bailey thing too. Is Bailey going to win the Rumble and then fight Sasha at WrestleMania? That's always been the match that people have asked for, that we've all been saying, when is this, Boss and Hug connection going to break up? And that's always been the match that people want to see at WrestleMania, because the matches were so good in NXT. So will that happen? Does Bailey win the Rumble and then Sasha win the title, and then you finally have your Sasha Bailey matchup and Alexa's out in the cold again? That
could happen.
There's just so much that can happen there. I still think Alexa's the odds-on favorite. I think Becky Lynch has a good shot depending on what side of the brand they want to win. And then I think Bailey has a shot to set up that Sasha Bailey match if that's ultimately where they're going to go with it. Who knows with that, right?
Right. I mean, it's all the women. The whole women's division's all over the place. I mean, you and I have talked about it. We don't like Ronda Rousey. We don't like her as a champion. She's not really doing what WWE wanted her to do. She's not really carrying it. I mean,
well, the problem is she was supposed to be the headliner of the Red brand of Raw. Ratings have not backed that up. She hasn't been that fantastic in the ring. I've been very critical of her on Twitter, about you have someone like Shayna Baszler, who I think started off terribly in the ring, and she has come so far in this past year where, you know, her last few matches on TakeOver have been really good matches. On the flip side, I don't see Rousey making those same strides, probably because she's not at the Performance Center every day. She's not training every day. She's probably training a lot. I'm not saying that she's just, you know, gallivanting around the world and doing whatever she wants. I'm sure she's putting time into it, but it's not really showing in her matches. And I don't know if it's the way they're booking her matches or if ultimately she doesn't have the skill to do it. Like, it's just not coming across as being entertaining to me. So hopefully, you know, that kind of changes with what happens if she gets into a program with Charlotte, who is not going to help the situation.
Well, and
and Becky, who probably will.
The other issue is her promo, her mic skills are awful.
You know, here's what bothers me is the stuff that her and anyone who she's facing on Instagram and Twitter, the promos she cuts on there are really good. And I don't know if she's the one writing them or if she's having someone else write them for her, but the stuff that's on there is actually really compelling stuff. It doesn't translate to TV, though. No. Like, she's not getting those same strong points on TV, and the way she delivers them just comes off as wishy-washy. And I wish the Instagram feud that they have, like even right now between Rousey and Sasha, the Instagram feud is better than anything that's on TV right now.
And but like, and Becky Lynch, like we could stand here and talk or sit here and talk about her forever. But she went from like having just the worst mic skills to now being amazing. Like,
just everything must watch television is Becky Lynch. And if you're not following Becky Lynch on Twitter, you're not getting half the show, because what she does on Twitter is 10 times as more savage than what she does on.
She's a man. She is really
absolutely.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Wait, hold on. Wait, what is this? We're getting Rob. Are you still there? Rob?
If it isn't my good friend Andy. How you been, bud? Seems like a good time of year for you. A lot going on. Haunt shows, you got coaster shows, and you got a wrestling show, don't you, Andy? You think I haven't been watching your every move? Where did you come across this championship belt, Andy? Who did you take it from? No one. You didn't earn it. And just like everything else in your life, you bought it. You bought your friendships, you bought your championships, and word has it, you've even bought your views. Those aren't real views on your channel, Andy. Andy, I'm tired of sitting here watching you do your shows, knowing that the people deserve better. They deserve me. And I'm coming for your title. 2019 is the end of Andy Rebar. Rebar. I'm coming for you, Andy. Shut up, doll.
Andy? What the hell?
You know what, Maverick? This isn't the first time this fool has shown up on one. We haven't heard from this guy in a while. You know, all these fools show up to YouTube, show up to Twitter, and try and take shots at the man, trying to take shots at the champ. And this guy, Darkside Dick, calling himself Darkside Danger now, okay? Another big talk from a little man. This is what this guy does. that we've seen him. He's gone after Danny Miller. If you've seen any of the Uncut shows, seen any other shows, we've seen him multiple times, been not heard from in a while. Must have got a real job or something. I don't know. But haven't been heard from. Now all of a sudden he wants to take a shot at the champ again. And you know what? He likes to talk about things like how I don't earn things. Guess what? Dark side danger, dark side dick, whatever you're calling yourself now. I've earned everything that I've got in here. This title, 10-time champion with this title right here that I was wrestling for years before this guy was probably even born. He's probably some nerd behind a keyboard, one of those internet warriors that we talk about, some snowflake that's sitting there typing. Yo, he can use Photoshop. He's got cool light bulbs that change colors. You know what, Maverick, I'm done with this guy. I'm done. You know why? Because this guy needs to shut up. And anyone can hide behind a mask. Anyone can hide in the dark behind some nice little white little mask or whatever. But you know what? It's time to settle this. I'm done with this guy. Danny Miller, you can be there. Maverick, you can be there. I don't care where it is.
Shit.
I don't care where it is. You want this? You want this dark side dick? Dark side danger? I like dark side dick better because I think that's a good name for you. Because this is what it's all about right here. So you want me? I'm not a hard man to find, dick. I'm not a hard man to come across because I back it up. I haven't wrestled in 10 years, but you want to wrestle me, Dark Side Danger? I got you. You name the place, you name the time. The Raptor, the face that runs the place, the hot and sexy Buff Rock will be there, and I will defend this title, and I will shut you up once and for all.
Beautiful. Nice.
So
that guy's cool. That guy's a tool.
What a tool bag, right? Like seriously. Oh my God. This guy's been vexing us for years. Since the beginning of Uncut, this guy has shown up. And it's time that he's silenced. It's time that we put an end to the nonsense. I want to know who he is. I'm going to unmask him in the ring. I'm going to unmask him in the squared circle. We're going to find out who this jabroni is. And we're going to shut him up once and for all. That's what's going to happen. That's what we're going to do, okay? So, Rob, I'm sorry. Maverick, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. It's not your fault. It's this guy's fault. But I think we got a show to do still. I think we still got the thing that
how do we go on, man?
I don't know, but we got to compose ourselves, just like, Tony Schiavone and Gorilla Monsoon used to have to bring it back together, get back to business.
He's serious. He's serious.
Like how Corey Graves, after the moment of bliss, in the backstage back room, Corey Graves couldn't compose himself after that.
Guy's got some issues. I don't know if he's got kids or something. Like he's got some issues. Like something's happening with that dude.
So let's talk about the men's rumble now. We've already said who we think might come back. Some other surprise entrants I'd love to see. We just heard recently that guys like Abyss, out of nowhere, Abyss and Sanjay Dutt just supposedly signed with the WWE.
They might. I mean, it's like a.
That's a long shot, but we do know a whole bunch of guys could be coming back. Guys like Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, they both have supposedly been cleared to return. Sin Cara might have been cleared to return. So we might see a lot of returning superstars, I think, as opposed to maybe, guys from the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much from the past. What do you think? Batista's going to show up?
Well, Batista, he came back to that SmackDown 1000, and Batista's always been, talked about, hey, Batista might want to match with Triple H. I'd love to see that at WrestleMania. And coming back to the Rumble might be the perfect spot for him, too, where, something happens there between him and Triple H, and we finally get that. I think that's a huge match. That's a WrestleMania match there.
What about some NXT call-ups?
NXT's really weird.
Well, they always have NXT people in there.
Aleister Black is probably the guy, and I think it's all going to be determined based on what happens at Takeover. But they keep talking about bringing Aleister Black up.
Yeah, but also Adam Cole. The guy, because he does the Adam Cole baby. And
well, he's
okay.
the guy.
I'm gonna make a prediction.
Uh-huh.
If Omega actually shows up at Rumble, they will. If you obviously, I don't know how many people actually know the indie scene, but there's a storyline between the Elite and Adam Cole, where Adam Cole is actually dead. They kill Adam Cole off, which is great. So what would be great is if Omega shows up and Adam Cole is there, and they just go at each other right there. It would be classic, and a lot of marks would just you have no idea how much Omega affects this Royal Rumble if he shows up, because there's so much story going on there, and it'll blow. And having Adam Cole show up and just like it would just erupt. It would
just go crazy, right? With those two in the ring.
Oh God, it would.
And I think the men's Rumble is more difficult to see who's going to win, because I think there's a lot more options, because and once again, you got to work backwards. So is Brock going to retain the title at Royal Rumble over Finn Balor? Like, no. Is that going to happen? Like,
nope.
You think Finn's going to win, or you think Brock's going to win?
I'm a Finn fan. Like I'm a huge Finn Balor fan, but he's not coming out as Demon. And we already said.
I think that's a work too. I think he said that interview, because I know the interview you're talking about.
He's not, because he's doing the whole David versus Goliath thing.
I think he's coming out as the Demon. I think we always sit here and say this is a big match. Like his WrestleMania match, I can't even remember who he wrestled last year. Like, who did he wrestle at WrestleMania?
I don't know, but he came out in that that whole
like the rainbow stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, whatever, cool, do you?
Yeah. I mean, it was a great message. Great message. I mean,
I don't remember who he wrestled, so that kind of says something too.
Yeah,
that the match wasn't all that big. This is a huge match for him, and I think he has to come out as the Demon. I think you're being worked on that one right now.
He won't. It's the, like I said, it's the Demon. It's David versus Goliath thing. They're going to use that, and the Demon is. Could we be at the end of Demon Finn Balor in WWE?
I hope not, because that's the only reason why he's interesting. So,
but they're they're taking that away, and they want him just to be this guy that carries a message, and that's fine. Because
to me, it's not interesting. To me, I don't see him getting a push.
But he's
that gimmick.
But he is of the people. I mean, everybody loves him. Everybody loves him.
Everyone loves a lot of people too. Like everyone loved, the Bushwhackers. It doesn't mean that they were headlighting WrestleMania. Like
no, but I think he wants to, and he said in the interview he wants to be, because people are asking about AEW.
Yeah.
Are you jumping ship over there? Yeah. And he basically says, I'm happy where I'm at right now. I don't care where I am, as long as I'm, doing something that I could, send a message, kind of push myself forward. He's not. I mean, he wants to win championships, yeah, but I think there's more to him. He just wants to put on great matches. He wants to wrestle. He's doing what he loves, man. That's all he wants to do.
I feel like if you think Brock's going to retain, I think Braun Strowman is then his challenger at WrestleMania. That's where the storyline's leading. Yep. So does Braun win the Rumble? And then Finn was kind of teasing maybe fighting The Undertaker too. And I'd love to see an Undertaker-Finn Balor match at WrestleMania in the Demon costume, though. I don't know about any other costume. But
will Finn have a match? That's another thing. Like if he doesn't win this Rumble, or not, if he doesn't win this match, like against Brock, does he have a match at WrestleMania?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Because what's he gonna do? Is he gonna go to Intercontinental Championship?
I hope not.
Bobby Lashley?
Oh God, no. Okay, we gotta stop talking about that. That just scares me. So I don't even want to talk about that. But and then if you look at the blue side, you got Daniel Bryan. Who knows if AJ's going to win the title? I think there's a whole lot of competitors, guys like Andrade, who, if you remember back to the early fall, a lot of people were pegging Andrade to actually win the Rumble. And usually that's the time of year that the stuff you hear then is the stuff that eventually happens. So back in September, we heard things like, oh, it's going to be Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. And that story within the internet wrestling community has kind of died off because they're burying that story for other stuff. And we also heard back then that Andrade was going to win the Rumble. So I would not be surprised to see Andrade win the Rumble and then go on to fight. People were raving about the Andrade, AJ Styles matches on the house show circuit. Daniel Bryan could be thrown in the mix too, and you could have a triple threat. They love to do that second. So if whatever you have your main event, for the two belts, one of them's usually a triple threat at some point. So there's always one singles match, one triple threat match. So it'll be interesting to see who goes there. You got Kevin Owens coming back that could win. Obviously, we already said Omega would be a big proponent of winning if he enters the Rumble. Who else? John Cena. Like John Cena, everyone keeps saying that John Cena's at the end of his career here. Is he going to fight for his 17th world title? Is that what's going to happen?
Who's your favorite? Like, who's your favorite to win that?
I always go back to what you hear in September is usually what happens. And I'm going to have to say, I want to say Andrade's going to win. They've been pushing the hell out of him lately.
And again, I know I love you. I know I've been bringing this up the whole entire time, but again, there's speculation that he is unhappy as well. So
I don't buy that for a second, though. I think
he's a funny guy. Like the thing about Andrade, he's very weird because in back to WWE 2K18, which is a video game.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to get Andrade to sign and say, can we use your likeness? And he didn't want them to use it. He said, no, you're not using my likeness for the video game. And this year he's actually on it. So it's like, what's going on with this guy? He's a little weird. I mean,
and like I don't understand that whole like why would he be angry, because ever since they put Zelina Vega with him, it's been a steady climb to the top. That in NXT he got pushed to the title, had great matches, got brought up. There's always a learning curve when you get brought up to the main roster. He had great matches with AJ Styles, had great matches. The stuff he's been doing with Mysterio the last few weeks has been outstanding work. I just don't see, he's been on TV, he's been with Zelina, that they've been constantly moving upwards. I don't know if he feels like Zelina's eventually going to overtake him. And kind of like Alexa did with, Blake and Murphy, and Alexa just became a superstar, and basically Blake and Murphy got left behind in the dust.
Murphy.
Murphy now is the cruiserweight champion, but whatever.
But he's doing good.
I just feel like Andrade's the next guy in line to maybe make that move up. And he's going to do a great match at WrestleMania. Like
I know a surprise entrance. I just thought of one.
Who?
Ready?
Yeah.
Ricochet will be.
Ricochet would be awesome in there, to put him in there to do some crazy stuff. So who's your pick for the Rumble winner? Andrade, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going Andrade.
I think it's either going to be Andrade or Strowman. I think Andrade would be the surprise if you really want to, really want to build up the crowd. Strowman, is probably, I think Strowman's on that last nerve of the crowd where they're still supporting him, but I think people are beginning to turn against him. Especially the hardcore fans.
I mean, it all depends on who shows up.
Yeah. Yeah.
If Omega shows up, he is the clear favorite.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. So, I'm excited.
Also, one more thing. Did you know that Rusev and Shinsuke are on the pre-show?
Yeah, they got moved to the pre-show. So,
damn it, WWE.
But the problem is you got two Rumbles now. You got two Rumbles. That's at least an hour for each one. You only have a 4-hour show. I think it's still 4 hours, right? Like, so, and if you want to give the women's match anytime, you want to give the Universal title match anytime, the World title match anytime, like
the Universal title match is going to take 30 seconds. Let's be real.
Oh, stop.
30 seconds is all that guy's going to do to destroy that poor man.
Oh, God.
That poor little man is going to try so hard.
You're going right into it. You're falling right into the trap, man.
He's just going to F5 freaking Suplex City all over. Oh, my God. It's just going to be crazy. It's a massacre. He's going to be Demon Mess all over the place. Oh man.
Even slop. So I'm excited about the show on Sunday. I'm always a huge fan of the Rumble, like I said at the top. So I'm super excited to see what happens, see where we go. And being that it's WrestleMania season, this is the official start of it. So we're gonna have to be doing some more shows here to talk about what's happening, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And if Asuka wins, we riot.
Is she even in the match? She's the
she's
champ, right?
she is. It's her and Becky. And if
she's the champ.
If Becky does not get that title, we riot.
Yeah, seriously, right? So we'll end it there for tonight. And stay tuned. Stay tuned not only to this show, but also to what's going to happen when I teach Darkside Dick a lesson. Okay, because let's not forget what happened here tonight, and that's not going to happen again. So when I teach him a lesson, that'll be the final lesson that he learns. That jerk. Okay. Maybe.
I think he's gonna get knocked down and want some more. That's what's gonna happen. That guy keeps on ticking.
So as always, I am Andy Robarchuk from Chicago, Illinois.
I am Maverick Rob Dole from Cleveland, Ohio.
And as always, ride on, Warriors.
Too sweet.